Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast. This is your home for reselling, wrestling, and real good times. And we are the most styling and profiling reselling podcast around.
That's it. That's it. I'd fake faint right now, but I I ain't got room to fall. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, where he falls down, gets up,
Yeah,
elbow
falls on
drops
his head every
code.
time. Yeah. Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
talking about even like when he was getting whooped. Sometimes he just get that point.
Oh,
He walk around and just fall on his face for a minute.
Yeah, take a
So
few steps and then pow.
Yeah. Bang.
Oh, well, this is episode 52. Funny story about that number 52. As I was preparing for this show, I was thinking back to my days working in warehousing. We had this guy that came to work with us, and he was that guy that thought he was God's gift to warehousing. Like he was the best at pulling orders. He was the best at everything. And this guy, he told us, he's like, yeah, I can do X amount of orders in a day, and I blah, 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 just really full of himself. And one of the first days he got turned loose to go do it, he pulled 52 orders. And me and the other guy would pick, like 150 to 200 in a day. And he did 52. So guess what his nickname was for the rest of the time he worked with us? 52. And there was one boy that worked in the department next to us. Anytime he'd roll up in there, he'd be like 52. He'd holler it all the time. He got so mad. He finally left that department. He couldn't take it. But he had every nickname. He got nicknamed Superstar and 52 and all kinds of stuff. Just great stuff.
That's it.
I guess the moral of the story is if you're going to brag on yourself, you better be able to back it up.
Yeah. It's best not to do it. I mean,
it's best not to do it. That's for sure. All right. Well, episode 52. What is up, man? What's been going on with you?
Same old, buddy. Just up and down, riding these waves of life. Good times, bad times, all the time.
That's true. That is true. It's been a week, man. It's it's Monday now, but this past week this was a crazy week for me. I was telling you before we started, I had 2 doctor's appointments. One, I didn't know that I would be restricted to drive, and then Tanya had to take me to that one. Then she had to turn around and take me to another one the next day since I couldn't drive. And it's just been that kind of week. And I think it was Saturday night. We was at home. We had forgot to feed our dogs, which are still here at the old house. We're trying to make a place for them, so we have to leave and come here late at night and feed our dogs. And
right.
And Sunday we almost did it again last night, and we remembered right before we left church, like, oh, we got to go feed the dogs, And I told her, I'm like, we got to get them dogs out to that house because this is crazy. It's hard to run back and forth. But yeah, it's been a week. I'll just say it like that. Been a week.
Yeah, nothing big or different going on around here. I mean, it's just the routine. You know how it is. I tell you one thing I did do. I do sell a lot of clothes. And I've been doing it different ways, I don't like the floor thing. I'm too round and it's not fun getting up and down, to put stuff in the floor, to do a flat lay that way, like a lot of people will do. And so I've got, in our great room, there's a pool table that's been covered up. It's got a tabletop. And so it's been covered up for the last year or longer because I use it for eBay. But I had like the little small foam project boards laid down at the end of it and kind of taped together. So I had a nice flat, but it's up high, it's like the height of a pool table. So, then me being short, I got to take 2 steps up on a little stool to get high enough above it to take the picture that way. And it doesn't work for everything. So other things, I put a little picture hanger, in the wall behind me because it's just a big open wall, and I would hang stuff there. But some things just don't look good hanging.
Like that one. Right.
Yeah.
There.
So, I've been threatening to do a lay flat board, for a while, the kind that the vertical lay flat. And so finally this weekend we went by Home Depot and I got a piece of the 1.5 inch foam board and went to Hobby Lobby and got my felt And my spray glue. And I think altogether it's probably going to end up being like $75. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but I mean, it's going to be so much faster. And so I haven't put it together yet. I'm thinking about videoing that, just videoing the making of it. It's kind of instructional, so if anybody else wants to make one, I know there's a lot of those out there, but they also, over time they get old and they quit being like, unless you search for it specifically, they quit being recommended. So, I mean, I know it's nothing new. I know you can find probably 15 videos showing it, but I thought I'd film when I do it and just do a short video, kind of cut it up and say, okay, this is what you do or how I done it, and then show how it works once I get done. But I'm excited about that because it's gonna make life here when I'm listing clothes. I've struggled to list clothes lately because of how difficult, how much it's just frustrating. My setup was frustrating. So
yeah,
I'm excited about trying to do, and even kind of like what y'all do. What I really want to try is get me about 25 or 30 items and do all my pictures, because I don't usually import to the computer. And I know with a setup like that, I should be able to take photos really fast. And so I'm going to try to do that and then import to the computer and see how I like it that way. I've been threatening to try it like that ever since I heard about people doing it that way. And people tend to be all one way or the other. It's all cell phone, right? All app or all computer. So I'm going to check it out and see what I think once I get the board finished. So
that sounds awesome. That was all I had. It just sounds awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I'm all for that speeding it up, though. Honestly, like this is our picture taking area. This is so hard to point. Like, it's not over there.
Yeah.
No, it's
like
not.
A mirror.
I'm pointing out the window right now, by the way. But because you gotta, there it is, right there, right up there. No, right there. But no, Tanya, it's when we do pictures, it's like once every couple of weeks. I don't get her out here every week. There's no way, and especially right now, but when we was living here, there was no way I got her out here like every day. And so when she come out, it would be, we might take pictures of 100 listings. We might do 50 listings. We might do 200 listings. I think the most she ever did was like 350 listings.
Wow.
And I'm putting it up, putting it in totes, putting it on the spreadsheet like I do it, and putting it on the rack. And I mean, there'll be tons of stuff out there that's not listed, but it's ready to be listed. And I don't like having way too much, because you get kind of lazy and then you don't want to do no more pictures for a long time. But I like having a good amount, 100, 150. That way, every couple of weeks, you have to come back and do more pictures. Like, it keeps you motivated to keep working. Otherwise, if you did 1,000 all at once, you may get lazy and not come up here for 3 months, and then you get behind. So
right.
I like to stay ahead of the game if possible.
Right.
I was sitting here trying to add in my head how many days is between now and August 2nd. And I want to say it's like, gosh, I don't even know. What is today, the 20th? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks and 4 days. So that is, I'm going to pull my old handy dandy calculator out real quick. 7 times 10 plus 4. It is 74 days. 74 days until the meetup. Yep. That's really not long.
It's not.
That just put it all into perspective for me. Like, I need to get on the ball.
Yeah. Well, and talking about speeding things up, I mean, our days, man, around here, it seems like we are, and I know we're not the only ones, but it seems like we're so busy all the time that
yes.
I told Casey the other day, I said, when you were a kid, it's like you counted your days sometimes when you were little by the minutes, you get to be a teenager and it's by the hours. And then, you finally become an adult and it's kind of by the days. But then the older you get as an adult, it's like it's passing by in chunks. It's in weeks. I turn around and it's like it's been 3 weeks and I don't even know where it's went. And I mean, it's our own fault for being so busy a lot of times. I mean, some things we don't have a choice in, but sometimes we do. But we have arranged life in our country really to where the expectation is that there's no downtime. There's no time for, the things that I think really mattered and kept us sane when we were younger, or maybe our folks when we were growing up. I mean, there's no porch sitting time.
Yep.
There's no evenings where my folks, I mean, when they worked hard jobs, but when they get off at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, come home and get cleaned up, have a quick bite to eat, they go to a family's house somewhere and hang out for 2 or 3 hours, and visit. We just don't do that anymore. I mean, it's just we're can to can't. I mean, just constantly we add so much that probably is unnecessary a lot of times, but it is what it is.
It is. I'm the type of guy that I remember my uncle passed away, and I was standing there at his funeral, and I'm like, man, he was, no offense to my other uncles, but he was my favorite one. And I was like, standing there going, I chose to get too busy.
Yeah.
I know in life we have to support our families. We have to make a living. We have to do enough, but we do allow ourselves to get overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
So standing there, I was like, yeah, he gone, and there ain't no chance for me to do any visiting now. So yeah, that was kind of one of them moments I was like, okay, I need to make time. And guess what? I still fail to make time, but
oh, sure.
It's a little more important now. Like, looking back at all the people that's gone and all the chances you missed, it's like, you just can't afford to do that over and over and over. You just can't, so me and Tanya, we sit on the porch. It wasn't that long, but we was out there 20 minutes or something, 30 minutes yesterday in between church. And we was just enjoying nature,
right.
Listening to, she hasn't got her bird feeders up yet that she wanted. And these birds was out there chirping. We had one songbird out there, man. He was just wearing it out. And I'm like, that's, like just sitting here appreciating this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gift. Like being here,
Absolutely.
Enjoying this beautiful, beautiful surroundings and all of God's creation. It's like, this is what we should be doing. Probably not sitting in front of a TV watching Dateline or what, that's what I was doing last night. And I'm thinking, no, it should be enjoying God's creation, because this, you only get, I told this woman one time, you only get one chance to be a mom. You only get one chance. And I mean it by the time you're grown and by the time you're old, that was your chance.
Right.
You can't go back and do it again,
Yeah.
And I mean, we get one chance at life, really. There is no do-overs. Where did this podcast go?
I don't know, but I like it. I mean, it's okay.
It's just,
it feels natural. I want to go back to that subject real briefly in just a second. But, we talk, for those that are listening, we talk sometimes about the things we might like to talk about. And it seems like once we get started, and this is the way I'll term it, and I hope it don't offend anybody, but it's like sometimes God has a way of steering you in the direction that he wants you to go in all things that you do. If you'll just be willing to be steered, you got to be willing to let go and just kind of let it happen sometimes. It's good to have format though, and we have some things we'll get to. But I would like to say, with what you were talking about, I think back with my dad when he was doing the reselling, when I was younger. And there were so many times, Caleb. I mean, when I decided to go into education, one of the main reasons I made that choice was because what I valued for myself, wealth-wise, what I counted as wealth, had a lot less to do with how much money I made and a lot more to do with the other things. The problem was, once I had all that time free, that time became time that could be allotted to other things. And I found myself in that trap. It's like you get your feet in that tar pit, and once you're there, it's so hard to dig back out. And so there were all these times on Saturdays, that I was off. I was off all during the summer, the entire summer. My dad was going to estate sales and doing all this stuff. And I think I went with him like twice in like 4 or 5 years, and he was always, hey, you want to go with me? Hey, you want to ride? And I wanted to, but there was always something else that I felt like was more pressing. And I'll go next week. Let's just try it next weekend.
Man.
Or I got this going on the next couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden, here we are, we wake up one day and, hey, we're having to take daddy to the hospital. And, he never comes back out. And I'm like, man, I didn't see that coming. How did this happen? And, that's, I know that's part of life, but I think it would pay us all and do us all good to sometimes step back and really ask ourselves, in a sense, how do we measure wealth for ourselves? Because wealth can be measured in a whole lot of ways besides how much money you have in your bank account. And I know we have to have enough to survive. I know we have to make a living. And I truly believe, as it's, we're taught in the word that, if a man that won't work, he won't eat. I believe we're supposed to work. I don't have any problem with that. But we were never told to sell out our entire life and our family to a job and become a slave only to money and let it deprive us of everything else that makes life good. And that's what we do sometimes. Even in reselling, it's so easy to get so consumed by the grind that every excess minute and hour, we're constantly doing something. We're never totally disengaged a lot of times. Even if we're not currently listing, we got a phone in our hand. There's something that keeps like a rope tied to us. And I think we need that times, to cut loose from time to time, especially when it comes to our family, because, that's way more important than reselling or anything else.
Absolutely. You know how many times my dad, he was a big gardener. Like we lived on about 6 acres, and he had probably a half acre to about a half acre garden, decent size, pretty good sized garden. And he would go work it, and he'd say, you want to come help me do this, do that? And like, no, a teenager wanting to help garden? No, And I never did much. As I got older, I did some, as I got married, I'd go down and help him till up the garden and, stuff like that. But now at the new house, at the old house, I didn't really have a big place because we had a half acre here. At the new house, we got 2.5 acres, and I've got a perfect spot for a garden. And I wouldn't give anything. I don't want to say that. I would not bring my father back to help me plant a garden, but I would love to have him here for that purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like if he was here, I'd be like, Dad, come on down to the house. Like we're going to till this up and, that I look back at that and I'm like, man, I miss that, like you just,
and it's not even about the garden itself. It's about the pleasure that you would get out of the time spent. I think I mentioned this before, when I was growing up and my dad had the sawmill, the little, Wood-Mizer sawmill. And, I thought it was like punishment a lot of times, because every time I was out of school, every holiday, evenings, weekends, I mean, I remember distinctly like it being Thanksgiving and we had to work till lunchtime. It's like, it's Thanksgiving. I mean, when do we set this down? It's kind of like what we were talking about. My dad struggled with that too, letting go of work. But here I was out there with him. But instead of recognizing how fortunate I was that even though my dad was working, he was present because he was working there with me and he was at the house when he was doing it, and appreciating that, and I probably look like the most miserable person. And I can't imagine looking back how that made him feel sometimes, because, I'm sure that he would have loved for me to have just looked like I was enjoying having that time with him. Yeah. And, if I could go back now, I'd love to spend a summer working at the sawmill with him. It'd be the most amazing thing. I'm not excited about the heat and the work side, but just to have that time and really soak up the personal side of it, the conversations, the interaction, all the stuff, that's gone once it's gone. So
that if I had a complaint about life, that might be my only one is why do we have to be so stupid when we're young? Why can't we have a little bit of sense when we're young to appreciate that kind of stuff? Because by the time you get old enough to appreciate it, they're gone. And it's like, gosh, I just wish, but that I personally think when we see them again, that's what's going to make it the sweetest is like, now you can appreciate them.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
But yeah. All right. Now that we got our sentimental portion of the show, oh my goodness, out of the way. And by the way, living on the fly like that, I had to order Tanya Sonic while we was talking right in the middle. I put her on the show here for a minute because she left her purse at work. She went to get lunch and she texts me right quick and says, can you order Sonic for me and pay for it? And I'm like, yeah, I can. She said, I left my purse at work. No money. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
I said, that's okay. Order you some food real quick. It'll be all right. So I have something I want to ask you about, and this will I want to do a couple things here. First of all, I want to show the world what Josh did. And some of you have seen it already. Probably a lot of you. I was grossly not prepared for this, by the way. And now I've got to go find, okay. Well, first of all, while I'm looking for this, you tell us about where you're headed tonight and what you're doing tomorrow.
It's number one, I'm not self-promotion on stuff like this because I'm super shy about it.
That's why I'm doing it.
I don't even think it to be that big of a deal, honestly. But I submitted. So most people that follow my channel, and a lot of the reseller people, especially, I'm also friends with them on Facebook, and a lot of people know that I sing at church. I've led worship for years and sang in groups and stuff when I was young. But anyway, I've been writing songs since, I wrote the first song probably when I was like 9 years old or 10. I'm not saying it was great, but that's how long it's been that I've been, doing that sort of thing. And so it's been years and years, and I've never tried to, promote, publish, pitch, or anything. I've always been scared to do it. And they've just accumulated over the years. I sing them at my church, and usually only at my church. So one of my cousins, she doesn't write, but she has also sang her whole life. And she's similar age to me, I think a little bit younger, but she just recently finally kind of, decided to try that, and she got signed to record. And
wow.
So she's been kind of encouraging me to, take a chance. And so the place where she's at, they were doing a showcase in Nashville for the next 2 days, Tuesday night at the Troubadour Theater. And then I think it's at the Opry Mills on Wednesday during the afternoon. They're having some of their artists there. And as part of the Tuesday night concert, they're doing a talent competition, talent show, whatever. And so they were taking submissions and choosing 10 finalists. And so I decided to sing one of my original songs and submit it, and got chosen to be one of the 10 finalists. So I'm going to be trying to keep myself together because I'm super skittish and nervous and easily, I get out of breath and scared when I'm in front of people I don't know. So I don't know how. I'm not a performer, so I don't know how well that'll go. I'm totally comfortable with my eyes closed in front of my home church. And when I get outside of that, it gets a little bit different. So, but hopefully with God's help, keep my nerves calm, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited and scared too. So I don't know.
I can't wait. So, I cannot wait. And I think I told you when you first told me, I was like, all right, going to go knock this one out of the park, and we'll see you on The Voice next week.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I don't think I'm interested in that.
Well, for those of you that have never heard him sing, go over to Facebook, look him up, and listen to him sing. And I think you got I don't know if you want me to say this, but a YouTube channel that you sing on too, right?
I haven't done anything with it in a long time. I started one. I've got like 4 YouTube channels. Only 2 of them have videos, and it's mainly a reselling channel. Yeah. But yeah, my intentions were to use that as kind of a creative outlet, and just doing like covers of gospel songs and stuff like that initially. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I've been wanting to do a copyright on a group of my songs. The songs that I've written over the years,
yeah.
Get some of them copyrighted. Well, you got copyright, but get it registered. You know what I mean? If you don't register it, then even though you own the copyright, it's one of those things. It's legally why I'm stuttering, I guess. The legal issue is hard to prove. It's hard to prove ownership in court if someone else were to take it and record it and use it and claim it was theirs if you don't have a registered copyright. So anyway, I've been intending to do that for years. I've never done that either, because to me that was a step of committing to the process. And every time I got close to committing to the idea, I've backed away from it, said, no, I just can't do that. So, but I want to do that because that was the goal. That was the goal in creating the channel, was to be able to eventually start, recording some of my original songs, just like I do for, reselling, but just as a ministry, and put those out there to be heard. So
that's awesome. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. The other thing you did, I want to show everybody this. messed it up again. Okay, I'm going to do this right this time. Here we go. I think I got it. Okay, I don't know if I got it. There it is.
Oh,
this is what Josh did for the channel. The Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast. I thought I had it bigger. It won't stay. There we go. That's our new logo. And I love it. It is awesome. Well, I like it. This guy right here needs some work. He is kind of an ugly dude. This guy looks pretty cool, but this one, he looks kind of ugly. But I don't think there's any filter in the world that's really going to make that any better.
I tried them all.
You tried them all. All right. It's been fun. Thanks for stopping in at episode 52.
Oh, man.
You
know, the reason I'm in front of you on that picture, all kidding aside, when you took that picture, I think you were doing this like, you know, with your hands. And so your fingers blurred because instead of pausing for the frame shot, your fingers blurred. So when I did the animated version and converted it using the AI, it saw the blur of the fingers and it stretched your fingers out like you were Freddy Krueger or something. I mean, they were super long. And so I had to slide my photo just over yours to hide the fingers that were like, you know, sticking out.
That's good to know. So I'm not just ugly, I'm deformed also. Thanks for letting me know.
I mean, I could have put you on top there on the, you know, layered it with you on top and you'd have been like picking my nose, you know, from over there.
That ain't too far off. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a cool looking logo though. I like that.
And TWO, in case y'all didn't notice.
TWO.
Yeah. The TWO.
Two world order.
Yeah. That works.
The two old guys. Yeah.
The two old guys.
Yeah. Stay tuned because there's more interesting things coming.
Yep.
I snuck that logo up here, by the way, but you can't see
I saw that.
You can't. This TV, you know, disclaimer for when I do move into the new shed. I call it a shed. I keep calling this thing a shed, but it's actually going to be a guest house.
Right.
It's going to be nicer than a shed. But anyway, when I do get moved in there, I might possibly, depending on the way it all lays out, get a bigger TV. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We'll just have to wait and see. But, you know, I like the idea of having this, that I can throw stuff up there, but it'll depend on how I'm sitting and all that good stuff.
Look, when I go to Walmart now, and I mean, I haven't been in Best Buy in a while, but you know, we had to go to Walmart pretty regular to pick up, you know, supplies, groceries, things. But when I walk down the aisle where they have the TV sitting out in the middle of the aisle, it just blows my mind that, you know, they have 75, 80-inch TVs now, the QLED and 4K Ultra. And I know that's not even the top of the line anymore, but they have them that size and they're like less than $500. I mean, I think it was a Samsung you could get like in a 75 or 80-inch for like $599 the other day. And I'm just thinking, you know, it wouldn't like 5 years ago to get a 50-inch, it was like $400 to $500. And that was cheap. Yeah. Because the first flat screen I bought was a Sony, and it was like in 2009. I'd had the same tube TV for years, like 20-inch tube TV from college. And I finally bought a new television. It was like $800 or $900 at Sears. And we shopped around everywhere trying to find a good deal. And it wasn't big. It was like 32 inches.
Oh my goodness.
Heavy, weighed a ton, you know.
Yeah.
And now you can grab a big one by the top and just pick it up like it's nothing, you know. And it's amazing to me how far that stuff has come. So I walk by them and I think, you know, it'd be nice to set that up on the up on the console, but you know.
I've got a 55-inch that my brother-in-law bought me, I want to say 2 Christmases ago. Before that, I had like a 42-inch that I'd bought at a yard sale that was sitting up on the fireplace in the living room. And it was okay. I give like $30 for it, you know. But it finally got one of those, like where the backlights go out.
Yeah.
So it was dull on one side.
Yeah.
And we're the type of people that everything we have nearly comes from a yard sale.
Oh, yeah.
So that Christmas, he brings it in the living room, this huge box. And listen, 55-inch to me, that is a big screen TV. That is a huge screen TV. Well, we took it to the new house. You know, it's sitting on a fireplace there. It's one of those fireplaces you plug in, entertainment center fireplace. It looks like a 32-inch TV in that house because the wall is so massive.
Yeah.
Like, I could put 120-inch screen up here, like
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not really interested in doing that, but it's like it makes it look like a little TV. And I'm like, this is crazy. But I remember one of my best friends, he bought the Samsung curved TV first come out. He didn't buy the most expensive one, but he was telling me, he's like, you can pay $10,000 for these.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's stupid. That's dumb.
Oh,
he gave like $2,000 for his TV. And I'm like, man, I just don't know.
Mm-mm.
I don't watch enough TV to justify that.
No,
I don't watch enough TV to justify $200 or $300, much less $2,000 or $3,000.
Right.
But it was cool. It was neat. But now that same TV is like $500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, back in the day when we was growing up, you couldn't buy them for.
No.
I got
my goodness.
Christmas one year, the old tube type TV, and that thing lasted forever. But
Look, you're going to have to be at least our age, or older to really understand this, because I was still pretty young when this was starting to kind of be phased out. But I know a lot of people have at least seen the console TVs, and if they go into estate sales and yard sales, because there's still a few floating around.
Yeah.
But my life growing up until I was probably like 12 or 14, because we didn't buy brand new stuff anyway. Like you said, a TV went to the repair shop when it had a problem. Mm-hmm. You didn't throw it away and go get another one. You took it to the repair shop. You loaded it up in the truck and you drove to the local TV repairman, and just, in a week or so, you went back and picked it up and it had been refurbished. I mean, if it went completely out, that's what you done. You didn't go buy a TV. It was so much cheaper. You could pay $25 or $30 and have it fixed, and it was still, even then, it was a few $100s to get a TV. So,
yeah, that's the day and time we live in now. I was talking to Logan the other day. He had weed eater or something he was going to work on. I'm like, it's sad. We talked about this the other day, the cost, you can't really put a lot of time and money into it, or you're wasting your time and money. You could just go buy another one.
Right.
And that's part of it's because stuff is made cheaper now too. It's not quality, and there's lots of factors, but I mean, our world is different, much, much different. All right. I'm going to do good today. I'm going to remember to segment this show.
Go for it.
All right. Let's do comment of the week.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So we kind of stumbled into the same comment, which, listen, me and Josh don't get together ahead of time. We get together at time to film the show. We talk a little while. We don't tell each other anything, basically. Outside of the wrestling history, we do coordinate that. But we had the same comment this week, but we left it that way. And I'll go ahead and read this because it was a cool comment and I like it. It's Randy Garton 788. He said, "Love your show. I'm not a wrestling fan, but I have recently got back into the reseller arena. So I really appreciate your insights and enjoy your wrestling knowledge." This was my favorite part of the comment right here. Caleb's first joke made me laugh out loud, but Josh's second one was pretty good too. Overall, my vote is for Caleb this week. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was 2 or 3 votes in there for me and none for you.
I had a vote.
You had Glenn. Glenn is like, you've paid him off. I do believe
whatever.
You have paid him off.
I mean, I'm going to message Glenn later. I mean, you're
acting like you do.
You're acting.
You send him that next PayPal payment.
You're acting like you don't even exist, man. How rude.
I get a message every single week now. You know what? Let me just pull this up. This last week, and I don't even want to justify this, but this last week, this is what he sent me. This is Thursday after the show come out. "Brother, you're drowning in a pit of despair." I'm like, really? Really? I just sent him some laughing faces, and I'm like,
I love
drowning in a pit of despair. Okay. All right.
Oh, man.
But
I just appreciate that Glenn feeds you a steady diet of reality, Yeah. I mean, all these other people, I told a couple of them, I said, I like everything except that part of the comment. I felt like, after 3 weeks of not winning, you were practically begging last week at the end of it for votes. I mean, I told them they didn't have to give you sympathy votes. It was okay to just vote what really happened, you know?
Come on now, sympathy. When you get your hiney whipped, you might as well just take it, okay? Just take it.
Oh, man.
That makes me want to go straight in to the dad joke, but I'm going to reserve that. Just
do whatever you need to do, boss.
Whatever we no, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get
He hadn't found his joke yet, folks.
Oh, I've got it, son. I'm ready. And if it don't win this week, I may retire. Okay. I might just retire 100% because it's pretty good. I like it anyway. Maybe everybody else be like, that was stupid, but I like it. So that's just me. Awkward silence.
Just letting it go.
Yeah, just let it go.
I'm just letting it stew.
Let it stew.
It's all that, you know, confidence spewing out.
It's false confidence. It's false confidence.
Backed up by your statements of what happens when you lose, you know.
Listen. I'm married, so I have gotten used to being on the losing side of an argument. So I know how to respond when when I need to recover something. I know how to respond now.
So you're one of those guys that roost on the bedpost at night?
Yeah, that's me. I'm definitely 100% henpecked, and I am not afraid to admit it. Totally, 100%. It's the only way to be. There's only two kinds of people. There's henpecked people and there's liars. Okay, that's the only two there is.
Well, henpecked, liars, and single.
So there you go. There you go. Or anticipating becoming henpecked or liars. Oh. Okay, go down in the comments and tell us we're stupid. It's okay.
That's all right. I don't care.
We already know this, so it's not a.
That's right.
It's not a surprise. I know. I'm well aware of my stupidity. So moving on, back into. I could just hang out in this championship mode for a while, but I guess I'll move on and I'll be a gracious champion because I'm now like a 10-time champion. I'm on my way to becoming the record holder. But anyway, I won't dwell on that. I will move on. Now that I am the champion, I will move on. I will not continue to dwell on my win. Anyway, since I just dwelled on it for like 30 seconds.
The only way to win it 10 times is to have lost it at least 10 times, though. I'm just saying. It's just.
There's always going to be those circumstances. Outside interference, Glenn, there's always going to be that kind of stuff because it's just there. Man. All right. So I meant to talk about this last week and I totally forgot, but I made a big purchase. Like I say a big purchase. I didn't spend that much money, but it was a lot of stuff. Like I went to a yard. Did I talk about this? I didn't talk about this, did I?
I think you told me about it, and then we never got to it because we got started talking, and we talked about everything but reselling for the longest.
Listen, when we call this two old guys, it's not just a catchphrase. It is a way of life because we forget everything. Mm-hmm. But I made this buy. We went to a yard sale. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago. We went to this yard sale. I walk up. This woman has like a ton of fish aquarium type stuff, reptile stuff, bird cage stuff. I'm talking like it's everywhere. And I asked her, I'm like, if I bought all of the, the pet stuff, aquarium, reptile, and bird stuff, what kind of deal would you make me? And she comes out and she's like, $300. Well, we added some big display of ink pens that you would sell in a store. There's a bunch of them, and a big display of the yellow signs that look like a crossing sign, but it will have like a dog name on it. This dog lives here, whatever, and a little picture of the dog. Bought a ton of those and something else. I can't remember. But anyway, we ended up at $325. And as I was transferring this stuff from the boxes, I brought it home in to my totes because I try to keep it somewhat neat. I had 650 pieces. So, somewhere in that neighborhood. I might be off a little bit. It was 625, 650, something like that. But what I like about it is most of it is brand new in the package. So it's new old stock. Like probably 90% of it's new old stock. And I did the math. I did look up a few things like that was higher dollar, and I know there's 30, 40 things in there that's going to run $50 and $60. I know that because I already looked. But I brought it down to just a $15 an item average. That's a low average, but it's realistic. I know that I can probably achieve that. So I based it off of 500 listings at $15 a listing, because I may have to lot some of it together, whatever. I know I got 650, but I did it on 500. That's $8,000 in value of resale value if I sold it all full price. Again, that's $15. That's 500 listings. There's going to be more than that. And I hear people talk sometimes, and I see posts on social media like, I don't know how people make this, make it full time. I ain't trying to dispute that, but if you pay attention and you're willing to make the right deals, it's hard not to make money. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to make it full time, but it's hard not to make money, because that $325. Now, listen, I did have to part with $325, but I know of about 10 items in there that my money's back, just like that. And I also know that this buy is going to take probably 3 years to sell it all. Probably 3, maybe longer than that. Because, there's not a huge market for a reptile cage, yada, yada, whatever, or a bird cage, little dangly thing that goes on the top that the birds can play with. There's not a huge market for that, but there is a market for it. So I couldn't pass it up. I just couldn't. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff I do quite often. I remember the first time when I started to make a deal like that, we was at this yard sale, and these people had like tons of NASCAR diecast, the 164 or the 128s that are like this big. I can't remember. 128s maybe.
I think so, yeah.
And the guy had like $10 a piece on them. And I talked him down to like $4 a piece, I want to say. And I nitpicked. I cherry picked the ones I wanted, but I went back to Tanya and I'm like, I could buy every bit of this if I threw him a price right now, and probably get them for $2, $3 a piece, And this was the early days of us doing this. And she's like, what if you can't sell them, And we went back and forth, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go cherry pick. And I did, but now I've learned, like, it doesn't hurt to at least throw an offer out there. Like, if you're going to spend $300 cherry picking, why not just go ahead and say, hey, would you take $300 for everything? Yeah. And the worst they can say is, I couldn't do 300, but I could do 400. I mean, that happens a lot. And then you just made a really good deal.
And the reality is, a lot of times, like you said, when you do that, you can very quickly recoup your money, because you're going to have some that are, rare, desirable, that sell fast.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be others that are good that you will make a decent profit off of. And versus having to look everything up when there's that many items, it's just about impossible. So my thoughts are too, if you give it 6 months and you sold over half of it and you've already made your money back in a couple $1,000s, if you don't want to mess with the rest of it, if it's just stuff that's, $5, $10 and the sell through is really bad, group it all together, take one picture of it, put an ad on Facebook. Somebody out there, like if it's NASCAR that loves NASCAR, they'll probably give you $300 for what you got left.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, and you can get it out of your way. You've made your profit, you've passed on the parts you didn't want to mess with. And I mean, I think there's always a way to make money. While you were talking, I think I got the idea for a future video, because you were talking about not only the bulk buys, but just, whether or not you can make money versus full time. And, I was thinking there's some factors I think we all need to consider. We've talked about some of this already, not only in trying to determine full time, but just whether or not eBay would be worth it for you to do, for those that are trying to, make that decision, or whether or not to stay in it. And I think, your financial situation has a lot to do with it. Yeah. You got to know what your finances are, especially if you're looking at a full-time versus part-time decision. A lot of people choose eBay and don't want to get out of their job. It's really just extra income to get out of debt, or extra income to help with finances that their job doesn't cover. But your financial situation, I think you got to consider what kind of business model you're looking at, because like I said, not everybody's wanting to be full-time. Decide, are you full-time? Are you part-time? Are you 3/4 time? What's your expectation? I think that's another one. You got to know what your expectation is. If you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get rich, that's my expectation, then I'm not saying it can't happen. Go watch Tekken. Don't think it can't happen.
Yeah.
If you want to work those kind of hours, you want to work 4 a.m. every day to 10 o'clock at night for 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row, and you have access to enough goods, you can probably make it happen. But expectation is a lot of it. Sometimes you have to temper it, and then I think your definition of wealth, like we were talking about earlier, you got to decide what is wealth to you, because, to me, full-time doesn't mean I have to make $100,000 a year. I mean, it'd be great on one hand if I was doing that, and I don't have to sacrifice everything else that matters along the way. But it doesn't take that much for me to have what I need, or me to be happy in my situation financially. But not everybody would feel that way. Some people will be content with 50,000. Some people need 75. Some people already have a retirement income, and if they make 25 or 30 doing it full time as their current gig because they've retired from some other job, they're completely happy. So they don't have to run like crazy. They can wait for just the perfect buys, the perfect items to come along. Everybody's business model is different. Everybody's expectation is different. And that's why even when we're trying to help people and people ask me questions, hey, what do you suggest? Well, I can tell you what I would do, but what I would do may not fit you. You've got to figure that out for yourself along the way. You can pattern yourself, but you're going to come to your own conclusions.
Absolutely. And that the whole eBay argument is like, could I sell on eBay? Well, I mean, I don't know, because can you figure out the system to sell on eBay? Sure, anybody, most people can, but can you sell on eBay is a totally different question. You may not enjoy it. You may not like it. Like it may be something that you hate. You may rather go to work and work a 9 to 5 and come home and forget it for the rest of the day. And eBay is not like that. You can't just forget it. There's always this little voice in your head. Did I list enough? Did I do that? Like there's all these things. And I love it for my situation. And I'm with you. Like if you really wanted to hammer it, you could make it a very lucrative venture. Us, we're just getting rich right here on this podcast. That's our, we're raking in the pennies. We are literally raking in the pennies. But we enjoy it. Me and you have talked about this over and over. Like, man, if this didn't pay anything, and it don't really, we will probably make $1 off of every episode, to be totally honest and transparent. But if it paid $0, it's fun. We're friends. We talk. We have a good time. People enjoy, I think, listening to us act goofy and talk about nonsense, and they get a little bit of wrestling. They get a lot of that, but they get a little bit of reselling help along the way. And, if all they do at the end of the day is turn this on and they're kind of depressed and like, sinking in their reselling world, and they hear us and it motivates them a little bit, that's worth it. That's worth it.
And that's kind of where I look at this at this point. This is still a newish show, and I'm still very new to it. But, in my mind, I don't want it to not have anything to do with reselling. It's not that, but at the end of the day, I really think for us, this is more a podcast about life, and the two guys that do it are resellers.
Yeah.
So it's natural that we're going to talk about some things reselling related. But look, if we started this every Monday, we record on Mondays, if y'all don't know. So if we got together every Monday like this, and we had this detailed agenda, we just like when you're making a video sometimes, I've got to get all these points in about reselling, it would be miserable. That's not the goal. We wouldn't enjoy it, and y'all wouldn't enjoy it either, because you could tell, we're just trudging through it. So, I mean, like you said, the hope is that as we talk about the reselling things that come up, that it's enjoyable, entertaining, but also informative when that happens. I think we've had some great moments with that. And I think sometimes some of the episodes, it's just great moments about life. That's why it's wrestling, reselling, and as we say, real good times, because it's real life a lot of times too. And that's okay. It takes all of it. We're real people who just happen to be resellers, and we're trying to do a podcast that maybe can help somebody. So
well said, sir. Well said. All right. You ready to do a sell of the week?
Sure. I ain't got much, but I'll give you what I got.
Same here.
I'm telling you. I had a decent weekend. I had 16 things I packaged up this morning and took to the post office. So it's 500 and something bucks. It wasn't a lot of big money sales, but I'll take it because last weekend was terrible. Terrible. Was that your whole weekend sales?
No, I've not been yet. I did 12.
Oh, okay.
Last week was the week I did so good, and my card messed up. I had to reformat it. I had almost 600. Lost
it. I hate when that happens. I had a whole card corrupt one time. I ordered the wrong kind, and I think I didn't realize I did. I thought I was getting exactly what I had. And I had probably, I don't know, man. I don't know how much stuff I had on that thing. It's right when I was getting started good. I had to get, it was time I had to get that second card to keep up with everything, because I wasn't keeping up with deleting the old files that I had downloaded to my computer. And it had hours of stuff on it. And then I put it in one day to transfer some stuff to the computer. And we had actually used that card at Christmas to record some of our Christmas stuff. And when it popped up, every file on it had the question mark. Could not figure out, could not get it to, I guess it got too hot or something. And it would never read. It was just unreadable. And so, it can happen. I think that happened to Kevin too, didn't it? Commonwealth. Didn't he say something about that recently? He had a whole
stuff. Yeah.
He had a whole card, I think, that corrupted, and he could not get any of his information either. It was lost. He said he usually backed it up, but he didn't back that one up. That's a big deal for someone that's that's dependent on it for income. That's a big deal. It's like an entire yard sale season or something like that he lost.
Yep. It was a lot of content. He said he had enough to do, but I mean, for him on his monetization, he is not like getting rich or nothing, but he was probably making decent money, and that just probably threw a big wrench in his plans.
Right.
All right. What'd you sell?
Okay. So sorry about that. It happens. So my sale of the week is, it was a CD from that buyout again. It was $45, but it was a single. Well, it was a 2-disc CD, like had 2 discs in it, but it was Badfinger, and it was 3 albums on 2 CDs that was in the pack. But it was used. It wasn't even new. That wasn't a new in the package, and it sold for $45 bucks. So I just keep having good sales out of that. And I haven't listed anything new out of that since I did the B's. So I've got C through Z left to list.
Good grief.
But I mean, I did like 300 or 400 listings between the box sets and the DVDs and the A's and the B's. And I was so tired of listing music, man. So I've listed everything but music. And the other night I thought I'm about ready to get it out and try to plow through a couple hundred more. And it's a good source of revenue. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to lose value. It's going to be worth what it's worth. So I don't have to do it all at once.
You're going to have a lot. I've always been amazed too. Badfinger. Where do people come up with these names? Welcome to the Badfinger podcast. How about that? Guess which finger is the bad finger? Okay.
It depends. If you're a proctologist, it might
be. Okay. This podcast just went way south, literally.
I mean, there's nothing inappropriate about that. It's just reality,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an appointment that I vowed I would not make.
Well, you're a lot closer than me.
I don't know. It's closer is defined by whether or not you choose to go, boss.
That's true. That is true.
I think I'll have this probably sounds irresponsible, but I'm serious. Like, I think I'm one of those people that I would have to have a problem before I would have that problem,
Maybe so.
Just the way it is. I think they can do scans now too, though. Like I think you have to pay for it, like pay extra, because I don't think insurance always covers.
That's fine.
But, I think I'm okay with that. I think I'll do the savings plan and pay for the technological approach.
How much is it? It's 10,000. Sign me up.
Yeah. Oh man.
Goodness. Well, on my side, I didn't have anything like explosive, real big, but I did have this Pan Asian animated Santa, and it's like a figurine. He's about this tall, but his stomach opens. He makes music, and his stomach opens, and things move around. But he didn't work. He was a non-working parts only. This is the second time I've sold him. The first time in the description it says not working, describes what's wrong with it. The person gets it. They send me a message, hey, this don't work. I'm like, I know. You should have known too, because it was right there. I put like on anything like that, I'll put like a couple of asterisks and the big word read and a couple more asterisks in my title to catch your attention. Go down there and read. Like it don't always work. It usually does, but it didn't work on that one. But anyway, I sold it again for $55.99. So fingers crossed this time they actually read, and it's going to somebody that wanted it to repair it, because this thing sells for like $200 if it works. So, $56 for a non-working thing was all right with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's always a good thing to check. I know, I don't know what other people do. It's kind of like with VCR DVD combo players. There's some of them that even when they're in working order, they sell for $25, maybe $30. And so if you're having to pay $10, I just don't, it's because it's bulky.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it to me. It's not worth the risk of it not working when I get home. But, if it's the right one, if it's, the Magnavox, there's several of those. Some of the Sonys. I think there's a few like Toshiba's or something like that are pretty high dollar. If it's one of those that sells for like, $75 to $150, some of them sell for more than that.
Yeah.
Of course, if it's in the box, but I'm saying, but still some of the used ones, 75 to 150. If you got the remote with it, think about those things. But a lot of times you can look at what they sell for as parts. And some of those brands, some of those, even as parts, they'll sell for $25 or $30. So if you're spending $20 for an item that has the potential to sell for $75 to $100 or more, but at worst case scenario, you're going to be able to list it for parts and recoup 100% of your money, that's a little less risky. Yeah, you're not making money. You're not making nothing off your investment if it doesn't work, but you're not losing anything. And if you hit 3 out of 4 do work, or 2 out of 4, you look at it that way, you're still making a good profit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, but you do need to be careful, man. You make sure whatever you're spending, I think it's a good idea on those in most cases, unless it's like $5,
right.
to make sure that at least you're going to be able to sell it for parts, and make sure that the sell-through rate for parts models are good too. Because 2 of them sold for parts and 200 of them listed, it's not going to do you any good. But some of them are really good even for parts.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I said I was going to do better at segmenting this show, and I have failed again. But anyway, we're going to go into this week in wrestling history now. And we have a new intro video for this, so hope you enjoy this. Sweet.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I
think all it needs is like a Michael Buffer, doing a voiceover with it,
Yeah. We may have to throw that in there eventually.
We've
cool. Talked about, we won't say the name, but we've talked about the correct person to do this. And I think you hit it right when you said it. And maybe we'll bring that about. You don't remember, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
Wow.
You said, okay, we'll just go ahead and say his name. It was Rocky Top Picker.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Man. He would be really good at. Ladies and gentlemen,
I don't know why I wouldn't. Look, man, my brain is like you just.
The reason I wasn't saying his name is because we haven't even told him about it yet. So now I guess Ben, if you're watching, we may hit you up to do us a little voiceover work.
Yeah. Either that or let you do Savage's voice behind it. One of the two.
Hey, yeah, I'm okay for the one I'm going to read. I'm going to read it in Savage's voice because it's all about the Macho Man. So here we go. This is This Week in Wrestling History. This is my contribution to This Week in Wrestling History. So in 2011, man, the Macho Man Randy Savage passed away at the age of 58. That's really hard to do a lot. Okay, I'm going to finish it normal. He suffered a heart attack while driving and hit a tree.
Yeah.
He held 29 total championships in his career, including 2 WWF World Championships and 4 WCW World Championships. Probably, if I had to pick right now, if you said, who is your all-time favorite wrestler? Man, it's really hard for me to pick, but it's between the Macho Man and the Hitman Bret Hart. But the Macho Man was just like, nobody's ever going to come close to making him again. He was the man.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, the whole persona was just unique. So cool. I mean, I've told you before, I was one of those, when I was a kid and was watching wrestling a lot, as kind of Hogan was rising to, his heights, I was one of those, little Hulkamaniac kids, I thought he was the greatest thing ever. But as you get older and you look at it and you see how, and I don't mean nothing by this because they sold him so well for so long. And then when they repackaged him as Hollywood, it took off all again. But at the same time, it's such a run of the mill approach in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not a unique, character. And we've talked about that there's a lot of characters that have very similar qualities, but you got a few that stand out, and he's definitely, Macho Man's definitely one of them. Undertaker, we've talked about him, stands out, all the many personas of Mick Foley, some people they're just unique. Their whole personality, it just creates a whole nother, just a whole nother person. Now mine is very similar. The one I think I'm going to go with, so this was the week in 1999 when Over the Edge pay-per-view, when Owen Hart was in the rafters supposed to do this big entrance, and they used to, they'd fly him by a cable or something like that. But anyway, he fell from the rafters, of course, and we know he passed away. I think it was I didn't write his age down. I think he was 38 when that happened, if I remember right. He was really young, but that was at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, and just a really, really, just a terrible moment. And it happened early in the broadcast. And one of the things that the WWE/WWF, at the time, one of the things that they were really criticized over, and I say it was I think it was it WWE already in 99? I can't remember.
2000.
Okay. I was thinking I was right on that. Yeah. We talked about it like 2 weeks ago and I couldn't remember the date off the top of my head. But one of the biggest criticisms at the time was the fact that pretty much everyone knew the wrestlers, they knew that he had passed away.
Yeah.
And they chose to continue the show. They chose to continue the broadcast. And they said that everybody was just kind of like in a daze, just, it was just a very, very awkward, just a very strange atmosphere. And, so anyway,
they say that was
one of the most horrible moments.
Oh yeah. They say that was one of the hardest, most split. Like, do we go on or do we not? Because there's the thing about, well, would Owen want us to go on? Well, yeah, he would. And then others say, well, no, he wouldn't. It's just, nobody thinks about, what if somebody dies? Are we going to have this show?
Right.
Nobody thinks like that. And can you imagine, I can't imagine, Jeff Jarrett was one of Owen Hart's best friends and he was on that show. And that had to be so horrible for him.
Right.
And then Brett watching, hearing his brother died, horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But Owen was so good. He was so good at everything. He was one of the ones that I honestly think if they would have given him the push that they did anybody else, he would have exceeded a lot of people. Was, because he was a good enough wrestler. He was charismatic. He could talk. He had it all. He had a good look. He could have possibly surpassed Bret Hart in a lot of ways. You know?
Yeah.
And just a sad, man, I hated it when he died.
It's all about the push. I mean, there are so many. It's the same way with Savage. I mean, it's not that he never got one, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same for him as it was for Hogan. And, when they make a decision to make somebody the face of a company, whether it's WWE, WCW back in the day, ECW, whatever the promotion is. We got all these smaller ones, AEW now. Whoever they choose to make the face at the time, once they commit to that, I mean, it's really an all-in decision. You can't just back up on that a month later. I mean, because it takes a lot of building, a lot of storytelling to get to that point. And kind of once you choose that avenue, I mean, there's so many candidates. It's not like there's only one or two guys to pick from. And I think that's one of the things with WWE. You look at, probably what would you say, like the last, I would say probably since the, like Stone Cold Rock era. I know they had the Roman Reigns thing, but I'm saying until Roman Reigns, there was kind of a gap there. I don't know if there was and I know people are going to name folks, they're going to name Randy Orton, or they're going to name Batista, different ones that come in the in-between time, Lesnar, all these that were kind of bridging that gap, but they never settled on anybody. Roman Reigns was the first one in a long time that they really committed to for a long run. I mean, because Stone Cold was the guy for a long time. Hogan was the guy in multiple promotions for a long time.
Yep.
I mean, they were up and down. They weren't always on top, but they were always in that conversation. They were the face.
Yeah.
And
I think I remember reading somewhere that after WWE got so big that their approach was the company sells itself, basically.
Yeah.
So they didn't want, if I read it right, they didn't want anybody to become bigger than the WWE anymore. Like The Rock got so big, he became a movie star, and all that kind of stuff. They pushed Roman Reigns right into the stratosphere, and he's already been in a couple of movies, and the dude could go full Hollywood now if he wanted to.
And I didn't forget Cena, by the way, for anybody that's out there. I mean, we could keep naming names.
See him.
Yeah, I just couldn't see him. That's why I didn't mention him. I just couldn't see him. It's not that we're forgetting names. I mean, there's other names, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles. There's other names that in the more modern era that have been title holders, and we could go on. And it's not to leave anybody out. It's just like you said, it feels like it's more of a Cena might have been the last one that kind of did carry more of the total face of the company, other than Reigns.
It's like a household name,
Yeah, but even Reigns, I mean, like we were saying, I think even though he carried the title that long, he wasn't the only name. I mean, they've got so many people they promote, and
it's a different type of atmosphere now.
Yeah.
It's not, back in the day, you had people like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Roddy Piper, but you had Hulk Hogan, and he was the main attraction.
Yep.
And they basically was building foes for Hogan to knock down.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did for years. Now it's a different kind of game. Like, they've got so many good guys and so many bad guys. It's basically just roll the dice this month. Who's going to be our top guy? Back in the day, they didn't have, they had a lot, but everybody is so popular now. Like,
well, I think there's something for me, and I'm not everybody, but for me, there's something lost on it in this generation, though. There's something lost in that shuffle. I mean, when you think back 80s, 90s, early 2000s, we could name a lot of names that were involved, but it's a short list at the top. That's what I was kind of getting at. You look at the last 10 years of WWE, and there's so many people that have either been title holders or in contention. I'm talking about for some of the, like their various versions of their heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Because Raw's had their own title, and the SmackDown's had its own title. Then they've had the Universal title, and they've had all these. It gets confusing at some point for me. It's like, I like that
part of it.
I like that duration where it's a single guy.
Yeah, part of it now too. Back then, people were more patient. You didn't have 5 TV shows a week.
Mm-hmm.
You had like Saturday night's main event, and that wasn't necessarily like a live card every week. So for somebody like Hogan to hold the belt for a year wasn't as big a deal as it is for Roman Reigns to hold the belt for a year.
Right.
But we live in a society that wants it now, right now, and getting Roman Reigns to be the champ for 3 years is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because people went crazy when Cody lost last year. Oh, Cody's ruined. He'll never do anything. And now look at him. He's the bigger star now because Triple H had enough sense to wait 1 year.
Yep.
He knew what he was doing.
And Could you imagine? I mean, because it was the house shows that built the brand, like you said back in the day.
Yeah.
They could go wrestle the same card, the same script at 50 locations, because those people were seeing it for the only time. And then the times they would do a Saturday morning broadcast or whatever, they could change it up for that, change up the storyline a little bit, change up the matches, do something special for those. And, say like Hogan, when he was carrying the belt for so long at a time, or even, Ric Flair, at WCW back in the day, different ones that would be, would have the belt for a while. If they would have been on TV as much as they are today, and it had been running the same gimmick, the same series, going through the whole process, I mean, he's almost lost. Then he goes through his whole, like how stale that would have gotten, seeing it week after week. Because I mean, back in that time, they wrestled all the time. They didn't just wrestle on the pay-per-views, where it was some kind of long, drawn out thing. I mean, it would have got stale. He probably wouldn't have been the star that he was. And so I think, that's probably part of it. I know we don't live in that generation, but I kind of miss those times, kind of miss that sometimes.
Life was a little slower, a little better.
It was.
All right. You ready for me to retain my title?
I'm just having trouble deciding which one I want to do, but other than that, I'm good.
Well, that's a good time to start. Let's go. All right. This is also a new intro. Hope you enjoy this. Hey. Dad joke time.
All righty. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You go ahead. Or who goes first? I've done forgot.
You've been changing it up from one week to the other. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I will allow you to go first.
No, you better go ahead if you're going to do it that way.
No.
Okay. So, oh man, I don't know which one I want to do. It's okay.
That's called lack of confidence.
No, I've got two great ones. I just don't know which one I want to use.
You got two great ones. Okay.
They're probably going to be this week and next week. I just don't know which one I want to use this week. Okay, so the wife says I'm pregnant. The husband, of course, says, "Hi, I'm Dad." Ha ha. She says, "No, you're not."
Oh my, that's bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong. That's pretty good. I'll give that some credit. That was. I don't know if I'd say it's pretty good. That's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Okay. Well,
that is funny.
Okay, so when I was a kid, we used to play spin the bottle. The girl would, spin the bottle. If the bottle pointed to you when it stopped, the girl could either kiss you or give you a nickel. By the time I was 14, I owned my own house. True story.
Oh man.
I think
they're kind of in the same vein a little bit.
They're close. They're close.
Yeah. It's just funny how that works sometimes.
It is.
Well, I think we're getting.
That's a fair fight right there. I think
we're getting better at this.
I don't know if you call it better or worse.
Well, maybe we're getting worse. Yeah. You can only throw so much cheese before you
gotta give a little substance every now and then.
Yeah, I mean. Anyway. Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
Been a good show.
A lot of nickels.
Enjoyed this, man.
Nickels. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of nickels.
Lots of nickels. Takes a long time to roll them nickels, by the way.
Oh man.
Oh goodness.
So we got anything else? I was trying to think.
I think it's
definitely want to remind everybody about the meetup. I know we mentioned it at the beginning, but just if you haven't bought tickets yet, we understand. Some of you are probably having to wait for schedules to clear up or to see what's going on, but we'd love to have all of you there. If you're listening and you haven't bought tickets and you have the opportunity to come, please jump on in there, go to Eventbrite, check the link out below, and we'd love to visit with you and hang out for a little while.
Josh will sign autographs too, so That makes it worth
I
the
hear
price of
I
admission
hear you.
right there. Hey,
If
you're
I
going to be a
win,
famous singer.
how about this? If by some chance I do win, I will bring my guitar and attempt to try to sing a song. How about that? Attempt.
I think you need to do it anyway now.
Well, I ain't making no promises because I'm a scaredy cat, man. I am.
I'm not even about to make that.
You know how hard my heart would be beating?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I do.
oh my goodness.
I totally do.
If I was to put my guitar against my chest, I'd have a bass drum and a rhythm, you know? I'd have
Yeah.
both going on. I just don't know if I can keep up with the drum.
That'd be one of the fastest beats you've ever played.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do hope you come see us at the meetup. That's Highway 127 time. It's the Friday of the Highway 127. And, you know, we've basically got everything figured out except for just a few things. Josh is working on a few special projects behind the scenes, and we might get to release some of that information in the future.
Hopefully.
We're going to be doing a live sometime in the next little bit to celebrate our 1,000 subscribers, if we're still at 1,000 when that rolls around, hopefully. And I mentioned on my channel, I'm going to try to do a live to make up for the one I missed. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to do a live collaboration with the Reseller Locker Room to promote this a little bit more. But yeah, we got a lot of things coming in the next, couple weeks, months, something like that.
Yep.
Guys, stay tuned. But we appreciate you being here right now.
Yes, we do.
Supporting us. We thank you for all the subscribers, all the likes, all the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what we can do better, and we'll mess it up even worse. But we appreciate you being here. Until next time, this has been the Two Old Guys, and we are out.
The TWO.
TWO. See you guys.
See you guys.